Okay, so we're going to apply our rules of 2-point perspective and try to draw the corner building here and plus some if you would like to, using some rules of perspective. So first of all, you want to look at your image and kind of get a sense of about where the vanishing points might be. As you see, I've got 11 by 17 inch paper here, so I can put the vanishing points kind of off to the side and then draw the building more in the center. So I want to try to match this to the best of my ability. So I'm going to go ahead and make a vanishing point right actually I'm going to draw my horizon line first. Let's see. So I'm going to draw the horizon line up towards the top of the page. Make sure it's parallel to the top of the page. See, actually, let's get this to where you guys can see it on the screen. There, and right here. So my two vanishing points along the horizon line. So, getting started, I'm going to draw this building here by placing the corner line kind of down here below the vanishing point. Something like this. And then I'm going to go ahead and connect to this vanishing point to get this side of the building, and then I'll do the same thing, connecting this over there to get that. And remember, you want to draw very lightly while you're just sketching in your initial line. So I can tell the building isn't actually, yeah, maybe we'll keep it there. Remember, you want to use a ruler for all of your vertical lines and your converging lines, and those are the only two lines for the actual structures that you'll draw, the vertical and converging. So then I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing over here. Now you're going to work in pairs, so a team of two, to do a perspective drawing on this 11 by 17 inch paper. And you're going to have to draw a building or a structure from one of the Leica concept art images that are provided, and also add another element that's your own, adding a structure, maybe adding a character. Okay, so vertical line. And now the main goal of today is to practice at finding the middle and making segments look look right. As they're going back in space, they should be getting smaller, and instead of just estimating, there's a way to figure out where those lines should go. So I'm going to go ahead and find the middle of this side. Sorry, I'll zoom in here, so that I could draw a line straight up. I know that this part of the corner should be right even with the middle. And then, of course, with this trim and the detail, it looks like it's kind of over here to the edge just a little bit. So let's play around that. So I've got this side. I'm going to find the middle. Remember, it would not work to measure to find the middle, because this distance here is shorter than this distance here, because it's going back to the vanishing point. So now, if I look at the picture here, I can see that there are these segments, and there's a door, and I'm going to draw a vertical line. Remember, vertical is a 90-degree angle to your horizon line, so it's not at a different angle, it's actually at 90-degree angles. I sometimes will line up one of these straight lines with the ruler, you can see here, with the page, so that I know that my ruler is not crooked. You can also eyeball it if that works for you. So I'm going to draw this line here. And now I know my door is going to be, I'm looking at this negative space here of how close the door is to the top line, and I'm looking at the other spacing so I can kind of draw the door to match. So I'm going to start with this line here. And I'm going to draw the top of the doors going back to the horizon line. And then you can see I'm using the middle X lines here to see where the door is going to end. And again, you want to make your lines vertical, horizontal. And then to get this cool decorative facade of the building with the trim that goes up and across, I'm just going to continue these lines. So let's talk about the roof next. So let's see, I'm going to draw that line there. And then I'm going to kind of space it just by putting a little tick mark down to see how far down this line is. Once I feel like I've got it, I'm going to connect that point to the vanishing point. And then I am also going to extend these lines up. So this is the trim line, trim. There's some dimension here of the door jamb. When you shade that, if you go kind of towards that vanishing point, it'll help capture the dimension of that door jamb. There's a little shadow in here. Anyway, we'll do shading in a bit. I'll just leave it blank for now. So next we're going to add this roof. So I'm going to go ahead and extend the middle line up. Not too tall or too short, but I want to try to match this distance. So I'm going to actually measure how tall is the facade up to this edge, so that how tall is this shape in comparison to the roof point. So I can see this is taller than this by, so maybe this is 2/3 of the height. So I'm going to double check. If you see I'm twisting my paper so I can get a good angle on it, I'm going to see. So this distance, put my fingernail right on that line so I can measure, is about, would be all the way up here. So I can see this is pretty close. I'm just going to shorten it a little bit. And then, actually I'm going to go ahead and shorten it even more. And then I'm going to connect the top to the corner. And I'm going to do this really lightly to the corner, and then I'm going to build up the trim on each side. And this top goes to that corner. You can see the angle slightly different from the image I'm working from to my drawing, and that's okay. It's really the concepts you're getting. So now to change that, you see how steep this is, and this is not quite that steep. So to change that, I would just lower this. But I'm going to go ahead and go with what I've got here, and I'm just going to build up that trim by making this a thicker line. Everything's always going back to that vanishing point. Yeah, that looks good. And then I'm going to build the trim. Actually going like this, I could make it parallel to that line and parallel to this line. And then I can add this detail here. This extends this way. This line extends this way, but then it kind of curves up because it's bowed a little. Right? And then Although I can see there's a curve in the roof here, it adds character. I'm going to start with my straight line and then I can kind of curve it afterwards. So I'm going to use this top of the roof, that trim line, to gauge that, and then I'm going to edit the length of my building to kind of match the proportions of this building here. So maybe more like this. So as you see, I just looked, eyeballed, and lightly sketched it in without a ruler. And now I'm going to double check my lines. Yeah, I think that looks better. So now you see there's these 4 segments of the roof. This one is much closer and these get further away. So there's a trick to figuring out segments going back in space. You could do this to make a sidewalk, make a fence with those repeated vertical lines that are equally spaced, but they go further back. Same thing with this kind of boardwalk. So I'm going to start with the initial shape of where I want that shape to be. Actually, I'm going to use my ruler to start, and then I'll curve the lines once I get the segments placed. I'm going to make this line parallel to this angle, so it's the same angle. And then I'm going to go ahead and do this X marks the spot again. Make sure I have the corner there. I'm going to corner. Now, I've got the middle. I'm going to divide this segment in half. And now I'm going to put a dot at this lower corner. I'm going to make this a big dot so it's visible. You can see it, and a dot right here. So just to recap what I've just done, I made one segment about the proportions of this first segment here. I have divided this with the X to find the middle of that segment, and now I've connected that point to the vanishing line to divide the roof in half. And now to find the next segment, I'm actually going to connect the dots, the lower right hand corner with this middle, and then where this line meets and crosses the top, that's where I'm going to make my next roof segment. I'm going to kind of sketch it in and then use my ruler to match the segment. And then I'm going to do that again, where this lower right hand connects through that middle all the way up here, and this, where the line crosses the roof, is where the next segment will be. And you can see this actually does match the proportions of this. This is kind of a little bit of behind the scenes making of a concept sketch that's got some perspective in it. So now, this is why you want to draw very lightly. I'm going to erase all my other detailed lines. And now I'm going to stop this video here, and then I'll do another one for adding some of the details of the street scene and another building. But for the lesson today, you want to refine your perspective skills for creating some details, having a segment that goes back in space, maybe some windows, and you can work with exterior or interior views.